true.
Good morning, and welcome to Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living, a community of people dedicated to what? Using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes where? In our lives. And our promise statement is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. And this is adapted from the Duwamish Tribal Land Acknowledgement. We also acknowledge how much of what we know in this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants, who all suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who've toiled here with little recognition. We are indebted to their labors and sacrifices, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence against them throughout the generations and the resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room.
And it's a little chilly outside, just a tad. So we're going to get ready for this morning meditation, and this morning we're going to meditate on growing our church. So let us be open to the experience. So Maestro, whenever you're ready, if we're going to have we have music. So let us get ready for this morning's meditation by removing everything from our laps, having our feet firmly planted on the floor, hands in an open and upright position, and allow your eyes to close. So we're going to take 3 deep cleansing breaths in and out together. So let's breathe in. And let it go. Let's breathe in again. And let it go. And breathe in one more time. In. and let it go. And so we're just going to allow our body to go into a deeper relaxation, starting at our feet, letting them relax, moving up through our legs, just letting them relax, removing all tension, moving up to our torso, just allowing it to just relax, just letting go of everything, just in a state of relaxation. Letting go in our arms and our hands, just letting go. Letting go in our neck and our head, just letting all things go. And now letting go in our minds. Just letting your mind just go. Just letting go. And so what we're going to do is see yourself at the top of this beautiful staircase. And there are 7 steps that we're going to go down. And with each step, we'll go into a deeper meditation. So step 1, actually step 7, going deeper. Now step 6, deeper. Step 5, deeper, deeper, deeper. Step 4, even deeper. Step 3, deep, deep, deep. Step 2, even deeper. And now step 1. You're deep, 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 in deep relaxation. Just having let go. In front of you, you see a wonderful, beautiful door. And you decide to go through the door. See yourself turning the knob, opening the door, and walking through it. And now that you're on the other side, you see that you're in your calming space. You're in this beautiful space, the space where you are happy, joyful. It could be a real space. It could be an imagined space. But in this space, you are totally free. You're totally relaxed. And now, while you're in this space, you just allow yourself to get comfortable. And you decide that you're now going to create. You're going to now manifest. And so we're going to create, manifest this wonderful church space with our 40+ members. And we're going to use all of our senses. We're going to start with seeing the space. So seeing this space with 40+ people at service. Are they in the space? Are they on Zoom? Is it a combination? What seats are they occupying? How full is the room? How many screens do you see on Zoom? Are people standing because there aren't enough seats? Is there a band, the Northern Lights band? Where are they set up? Is the parking lot full? Is there parking all along the street? Are people in the overflow area? See the space. See Zoom with 40 plus people. See the activity. See the excitement. See the speaker. See people singing. And so now let us move on to what are we hearing? Are you hearing people as they walk through the door? Are we hearing people talking? Hearing the speaker? Are you hearing your neighbor next to you as they move around in their seat? Are you hearing the band playing lovely music? Are you hearing singing? What song are they singing? What are you hearing within 40 plus people at service? Now moving on to what does it smell like? What does this room smell like? Is there coffee brewing? Is there tea that someone's drinking that you're smelling? Does your neighbor have some cologne or perfume on that you may love or maybe not love so much? Is there a fragrance of the room? What is it that you're smelling? Now moving on to taste. What does 40 plus people taste like? Are there more goodies in the back that you're partaking in? Does it taste so palatable that it's just like yummy? This is such a good feeling. Oh, yum. I just want more. What does it taste like? And now, what does it feel like? How are you feeling? There are 40 plus people at service, at every service. Are you feeling like, oh, I need to get there early so I can get a seat? Are you feeling joy because the music is so beautiful? Are you inspired by the speaker? Are you happy just to be in an environment that is uplifting and loving? What are you feeling? And so now giving thanks for all that we've seen, all that we've heard, all that we've smelled, all that we've tasted, all that we've felt, knowing that this is reality, that this is the truth of our being right here and right now. And so let us get up from our wonderful space, go back through the door, and now we're going to go up the 5 steps. And with each step, we're going to come back into the space, become more present. So step 1, step 2, we're at step 3, becoming more present. Step 4, even more present. And step 5, we're now back into this room, back into this space, and allowing our eyes to open. Thank you. So how was the journey? No? Good, okay. Okay, so this morning's reading comes from my phone. Yay, yay, yay. And it's called Learn How to Align Your Intentions with Action. Do you often find yourself with great intentions and yet find it difficult taking any action? I know there's no one in this room, but for your neighbor, for the person down the block. Well, as you probably have noticed by now, no amount of your intentions will ever give you deep satisfaction or fulfillment unless you align them with concrete actions. The longer you procrastinate, the less likely are the chances of any of your intentions ever seeing the light of day. Procrastination has been known to bury the best of good intentions because of its insidious characteristics, which can eat away at you. On the other hand, it is pointless to try to persuade yourself into doing something while beating yourself up about it. You only end up feeling more dejected than ever. And when you feel weighted down, you just won't find the strength or creativity to do anything. Before you can back up your intentions with action, the first thing to do is to examine the intention. Do you absolutely want to carry it out? And are you excited about doing so? Your answer to these 2 questions will determine the seriousness of your commitment to follow your intention through with the necessary action. The following tips can help you get out of your head and move into action. 1, get very clear on your intention and the results you want. 2, give full attention to the results you want by fueling it with passionate details. 3, ask your inner guidance and use your intuition to discern the right course of action for you. 4, make a binding promise to yourself to get things moving the soonest possible. If you wait until everything is fully planned out, you'll never start. 5, get out of your head. I know we have no heady people here, but get out of your head by breaking down your action plan into easy to manage steps in order to keep your spirits up and the momentum going. 6, fire your soul with strong, uplifting emotions of joy and determination of inspiration. 7, engage the support of 1 or 2 other persons. This could be a mentor, a coach, or someone else appropriate to keep your focus for accountability. Keep the strength of your intention is only, know this. The strength of your intention is only as good as your action you're prepared to take on a regular basis. Every intention is preceded by a thought. Your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions can prompt you to take the appropriate action, provided you use them aright. Attain excellence by using your spontaneity, intuition, and your natural drive to move forward. Keep your life in flow by having a sense of clear purpose and aliveness. My life has always been full of passion and intention, which I constantly fuel from the inner being, because I know exactly where to draw my passion from. This allows me to create abundance, immense joy, and love, which I can share and delight with others. I do this best by clarifying the purpose of my intention and carrying out the purpose with this excitement. Thus, I enrich my life with vigor as I enrich those of others. I live my vision by fully owning my intentions. Aligning your intentions with action is about partnering with the source of life and stepping forward. Taking action is breathing life into your passion and expanding your world to become the reality you know it can be and decide it to become. Invest the time in you, and you is in capital, Y-O-U. Get to know what excites you, what ignites your soul and makes you come alive. When you are in alignment with your true self, your intentions will naturally begin to align themselves with a life of pulsation and dynamic action. And so it is.
So it is. And we will get that in our email.
I will send it.
Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know why it's not releasing. Oh, there we go again. I think that's what you meant.
So this month's chant is fairly easy. So much of my life is good, so much of my life is great, so much of my life is grand, and I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life from that value with every breath I receive? So join in if you'd like, be sung to if you prefer that, or just say, I know this is only a short time and it'll be through early enough. So. So much of my life is good, so much of my life is great, so much of my life is grand, and I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life from that value with every breath I receive? Now you, so much of your life is good, so much of your life is great, so much of your life is grand, and you touch all you might be. Where are you now? What do you value? How do you live your life from the value with every breath you receive? Now ours. So much of our life is good, so much of our life is great, so much of our life is grand. Touch all who might be. Where are we now? What do we value? How do we live our life from that value with every breath we receive? Now back to I and my and all that. So much of my life is good, So much of my life is great. So much of my life is grand. And I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life from that value with every breath I receive?
I know what you're looking for. I'm finding it. Slowly but surely.
Kind of catchy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. I didn't bring my book.
Back to.
You're okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to do this. Oh.
Every day we're born again to create this world. So now let's claim our good and speak our words and release it to the universe. Right here is where we make a stand. Take a passion for our fellow man. Right here, making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. It's a new day. All together, hand in hand. It's a new thing. I love about the land. Right here, we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Every day I'm filled with wonder by the glory of the silent thunder unfolding from down under. Set you down under. Oh, right here is where we take a stand. It's a new day, good passion for our fellow man. Right now we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. It's a new day. All together, hand in hand. It's a new thing. I love about the land. Right here, we're making a difference.
Well, good morning, Northern Lights of Seattle.
Good morning.
CSL. And welcome, thank you all for trying so hard to make the technology work. And it's working. So that song, It's a New Day. I love It's a New Day because it is a new day. Every day we wake up in our right minds, it's a new day. We can acknowledge that, and we can consciously shift how we've been and move into how we want to be. And that's what this is all about. We are on a path of self-discovery. We are here to learn and to explore and to grow and to contribute to our own and others' learning and growing and exploring as we can. So we're going to talk a little bit about the steps to that. And Maestro, can you change slides? We'll see if we can get our PowerPoint up.
We have to have our PowerPoint because I spent a little while on it. So we're going to,
We're coming there. We're coming.
oh, isn't this fun? There we are. Yes.
But I don't think he should.
Next slide, please. That's right, I can just turn around and look. Can you go to the next one? From good to great to grand. Many years ago, let's see, did I pick it or, either I picked it or my manager did, I think I chose it. I went to a workshop that was specifically for women and people of color. And its intention was how to live in the grand, how to live in the exceptional, how to be out there so far with all of your orbs in orbit, being all that you could be. And they chose that for women because, and people of color, because circumstances tend in this culture to have us shrink in. Now granted, it's not only just us. I have talked to many people, black, white, male, female, whatever, and many folks have had circumstances that would cause them to shrink in and not be all that they could be. And statistically speaking, there's a higher impact on people of color and women. So that slide, no there, is to remind us that this is a continuing path. So my taking that workshop, I learned how to be great, grand, not mediocre and barely moving along, which of course I was not doing, but I had room for growth. But there's no there, it continues. We continue to experience the conditions that could cause us to shrink in. So what are the conditions? What can we do around getting out of that potential to shrink in? Next slide, please. The ultimate goal of life does not mean that we shall ever arrive, no there, at spiritual destination where everything remains static and inactive. That's an interesting way of saying that, where everything is just exactly like we want it and it's not gonna change. That which to our present understanding seems an ultimate goal will be attained, but the starting point will be but the starting point of a new and further evolution. Next slide, please. I liken this to Pac-Man. Remember Pac-Man?
Oh, yeah.
And just when you thought I'm really not a games person, but I did like Pac-Man for a minute. But every time I thought I was good, then they added more ghosts and more levels and more bombs and whatever it was that they put in the way. So there was never a there. There was always another level. And that's what I found life does. It's just when I think I got it going on, I got it handled, life says, oh really? Okay, good, now try this. It's a continuing experience. So, in Stephanie's reading, she mentioned alignment. And alignment also, in my mind, is being in integrity with what we value and believe. And when we're out of integrity, now think about it, when you value and believe something but your behavior is doing something else, what happens? Not good stuff happens. It's internal chaos. And it shows up in many ways. It shows up in stuff happening to us and we're like, well, why is this happening to me? Or it shows up as illness, or it shows up as confusion, or it shows up as frustration, or it shows up as inability to get what we want done or bring what we want into our lives because we're out of integrity with what we value and believe. Next slide. So alignment is a vibration, a movement of energy that feels grounded and enlightened and propels you gracefully forward towards your goals. So being in alignment makes it a whole lot easier. There are times when all kinds of good stuff is happening to us and we're like, I don't know if I really deserve that. But what's happened is we've become in alignment. We're living in our values and beliefs, and we're allowing them to live, to be in us and then move out. And it's sort of, I always say it's talking to the universe, but we could say scientifically that it sets up a vibration that comes from us that attracts a like vibration. Yes, Jeffrey agrees, he's got that one. So when we're in alignment, we're attracting something, the good that we want in our lives to come to us. I was just thinking this week, I'm allowing myself to be an artist. I am just hanging out in the art world. I'm reading stuff. I've got way too many online workshops that I've signed up for, but I'm in them now and studying them. And I'm in the studio at my fiance's and in the studio, also known as my kitchen at my house. And so this I'm just in it. And then things are showing up for the art. That's just amazing. And so I talk about it now and then. You know, I could send out blurbs, but I don't. But I do talk about it, and I'll put something on Facebook and what have you. And what came to me many, many years ago, I was disinclined to talk about the good in my life because if my best friend or group of friends were not having good, I felt bad about saying, well, it's all good over here. Because I was like, it would make them feel uncomfortable and sad and blah, blah, blah. And I did that for years. And one of the ways it showed up was out of my little group of 4 or 5, one of us would have a boyfriend or a significant other, and the others would not. So whoever had the significant other didn't talk about him or her because the rest of us were like, oh, I wish I could find somebody to love me. So we didn't go there. So, and it was always happening. Somebody would have a significant other and the rest of us might not. And so we didn't talk about it. And I found myself thinking, you know, it's better to talk about it. I do talk about it now, and some of my friends are saying, yeah, that's all well and good for you, but I'm not doing that. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. You could do something else. You don't have to have a significant other in your life to have a good life. You can do something you love. But what you need to do is realign your vibration and your internal thinking. I am not talking about my significant other because I think you need to have one. I'm just talking about my joy in my life. And you can have joy in your life, however that shows up for you. And they're like, yeah, Pamela, all right. They're not science and mind folks, so they don't understand. They don't understand. Oops. Eugene, okay. Did that do it?
Yes.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, good. It's really done.
Yes, we're not hearing you.
It's not echoing.
Okay, because it changed on my Zoom thingy. Anyway, so alignment becomes very important. And that's all well and good, isn't that fun? Yes, we're gonna be in alignment. And then the question is, how familiar are we with our values and beliefs? There's the homework. What do I believe? What do I value? And sometimes you can, what am I trying to say here? So I may not be able to just off the hook, say, these are my values and beliefs. But you can start to ask yourself the question of, what is driving me now in this situation? What do I want in this situation? Now we're edging over into intentions. And what's important to me about this situation? And being able to answer those questions can make a big difference in how we create what we want in our lives. Let's go to the next slide. Let's see what it is. When the basis of your actions is inner alignment, in the present moment, your actions become empowered with the intelligence itself. So the beauty of that is it's saying, okay, so I have some idea of what I want to do, big picture, but what do I want to do right here, right now? Right in this moment, right where I am. That's a question to ask 24/7, 365. What is my purpose here? What is my intention here? What am I trying to create right where I am? Right in the moment that I'm in. Next, please. So the struggle within is similar to the struggle without, or the struggle without is similar to the struggle within. So what I'm looking at out here, and science of mind practitioners already know this, what I see out here is somehow being reflected or projected by me. And I don't have to buy into that. That's why it's a new day. We can say cancel, cancel, and move on. Next slide, please. So intention is based on or supported by our beliefs and values. And that's why it's, again, important to have some understanding of what our beliefs and values are. Next slide, please. In the midst of stuff and things, some questions we can ask ourselves is, okay, this is happening and I'm getting a little caught up in it and I'm not liking it. What is unclear in me that may be holding this condition in place? Or what is most important to me right now? I like this one because it cuts through the crack. What's most important to me? Whatever is going on, I don't have to analyze that. Just what's important to me right now? I want peace. I want effectiveness. I want to comfort someone or comfort myself or whatever it is. I want to not be in the way. Or maybe I want to be the way. Or whatever the question is that would achieve your intention in this moment, right now. And is my ego making this unclear? I had someone the other day where I mentioned that a new restaurant had opened down the street from her, and she said, no, it hasn't, it's still down the street. I was like, no, I saw a sign that said Hobbs Restaurant and Winery. It's different now. And she said, no, it's not. It's the same. It hasn't changed. And I was like, okay. What's important to me here is peace between me and my friend. What's important to me here is to not upset her, to be a friend to her and to support her. And I said, well, okay, maybe I misunderstood. And we moved on. So the next time I drove to her house, I looked at that restaurant, and lo and behold, she was right. There was now a second restaurant and a winery, and it was up the street from her. This one was down, the one she knew was down the street. So now there's two. She didn't know about the second one, and I didn't realize the first one hadn't changed. I was like, nope. That sign says it's the same thing, so this one must be further up. So the beauty of my saying, well, I saw a sign, or the beauty of my not saying was that I kept peace between me and my friend, and it was certainly not worth it, even if I had been right, which I wasn't, but even if I had been right, it wasn't worth the friendship. So that's what we're talking about with ego. My ego could have said, I saw what I saw, and apparently you don't know your neighborhood. I could have gone there. Fortunately, I did not. I took ego out of it. All good. The next question you might ask yourself, what do I fear most in this situation and why? That could be, like with this example I just gave, I don't like being wrong. And I was wrong. And I thought I was right. So if I don't like being wrong, I could have really created a wrong situation for me. But what is it? What is it I fear most? Well, it could be any number of things, but once you start to look at that, then it helps you release whatever it is you're holding on to that's holding the discordance, the confusion in place. And then this last question, what would my mentor do right now? I just put mentor in there. It could be, what would my grandmother do right now? What would Madonna do right now? What would Jesus do right now? What would Ernest do right now? Whoever you want to bring in there, all you need is somebody else to help you shift how you're seeing it. Give you some other ideas. Open the door to ideas of how to do something differently. Next slide, please. We don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. As a recruiter, some of you know that I have done many years as a recruiter, kind of like doing time. I can't tell you how many times I've said, I'm never gonna be a recruiter again, starting back in 1994. Anyway, one of the things I learned to ask with candidates for jobs, because particularly with the internet, folks can go on the internet and they can look up interview questions and they can prepare themselves quite well. So when we ask them, which frequently people will ask, what's your greatest achievement? Or name 3 of the achievements you're quite proud of. And they'll say, oh, I did this, and then I did that, and I was so good at this. And then you say, okay, well, tell me about an achievement you're not so proud of. Tell me about a time when you weren't successful. Sometimes they'll give you some superficial, and then sometimes they'll give you a real one. I gave someone a real one once. I don't remember what it was. And she said, you did? That's what you did? I couldn't even finish the story to let her know it all worked out fine. She ended the interview.
Wow.
I was like, alrighty then. But what I have learned with those is, so they tell me, well, you know, I did this, that, and the other, and it didn't work, and everybody got mad at me, and the vice president came down to my office and said, don't you ever do that again. It was all bad. We learn from reflecting. So I ask my candidates, what'd you learn from that? Well, I learned I'll never do that again. That's a good answer. That's number 1. What else did you learn? Well, I learned that if you're not in the circle, you should approach things a little softer. If you're not the designated person, if you don't have control over us, whatever it is, so we dig for what they learned. And here's the deal. If they didn't learn anything from it, then we don't want them as a candidate. Because that means that they'll make mistakes and they won't give them much thought. And that means they'll keep making the same mistakes. So if someone's willing to step back and say, well, I learned come an hour early and be prepared. Or I learned to ask the whole room what the heck to do with this technology. Or I learned whatever. So in our experience, we don't learn from the experience, we learn from thinking about the experience, we learn from reflecting on it.
Mm.
We don't learn from beating ourselves up about it. Or feeling like cockapoo about it. We may be there for a minute, but then the question comes, okay, so what's going on with me here? You might even go back to those other questions. Where's my ego in this? Why am I so upset about this situation? And what can I learn from it? What can I take to the next situation? It could be as simple as, don't get that so upset about that kind of a thing. Or it could be as deep as, ooh, I didn't know I was that insecure.
Mhm.
I think I got a little personal work to do. I won't tell you about the example that brought me to that one, but just trust me, they're there. So, next slide, please. So we might, I just liked him. He's so cute. So, new day, new deal. Time for a change. What? Where was I? Oh! My fiance was doing a portrait of this woman that we met in pickleball. Yeah, right, pickleball. Anyway, so she came for the portrait. She wanted to market herself as I don't know what. And I said, oh, honey, you need a little lipstick and some eyeliner. She says, I don't do that. That is not me. And I thought, you're coming in for a portrait to present your best self, and you don't want to do a little bit to liven up your face, eh?
And this is not your best self.
Hmm?
And this was not your best self.
No, it was not her best self. So she did put a little lipstick on. And I changed my tactic. I said, okay, what are you trying to say to your audience? She wanted this for Facebook and, social marketing. And I was like, okay, well, so what are you trying to say? What is it you want the people who are looking at you to say? And she said, well, I want them to see me as a fun person. And I said, okay. She says, I'm kind of casual. And I said, okay. So, you're gonna have to smile.
For sure.
We found out during the session that she was a former serious undercover law enforcement person. I was like, okay, that says a lot. No wonder you look like the FBI. But by asking her, what does she want to say? I was like, okay, so these pictures, this is what we need for you to get that across. And she can see the pictures immediately, and she can see the difference, and she got easier to work with. Time for change. You're no longer an FBI mug shot. You're someone you want people to come and take on, buy your services, and think they're going to have a good experience with you. You're going to need to smile. So, beliefs and values. Something about her background had a set of beliefs and values she now had to shift a little bit. Yeah, open up. Be something besides what she says is me. Often I get, well, that's not me. And I sometimes wonder, well, why not? Why can't it be? Why can't you have fun? Why can't you spread out a little? I was working for REI, and I was wearing whatever clothes I was wearing at the time, and the women kept saying, oh, I love that. I said, well, I can tell you where to get it. And they would say, oh, I could never wear that here. I'm like, yes, you could. And then I went to the REI store to try to look more like they did. First of all, I don't climb mountains. And secondly, those clothes were ridiculously expensive for something I don't do. And I was a contractor, so I stayed with my fun clothes and let them be. But they were not having a time for change. They all had to look like they shopped at REI, and they did. So we have to take a look sometimes at what it is that we want and know what it is and consider when we're in the moment, is our intention, we talked about intentions matching values and beliefs. Well, also the environment, the situation, the audience may change. And so our values and beliefs, Jeffrey's over there falling out, story there. Our values and beliefs, we need to understand and be able to apply macro and micro. Someone used to say that went to this center, you gotta know who you're dealing with. I thought, that is so important. This person you can be this way with, but this person you might have to be a different way with because they are different. So even in the situation, in the moment, your intention also is impacted by whom you're dealing with. What would work with them? Like my law officer, undercover person. Other people, I just say, girlfriend, you need some makeup. Her, I had to back off and come at it totally differently, and it worked. So we also have to be open to our intuitive internal wisdom. That may be somewhat redundant, but you know what I mean. And to be able to be connected to and to connect to our internal wisdom means that we should have had a daily practice, a regular practice of being able to step back from the craziness, breathe, and open. I've been meditating for years and I actually rarely get epiphanies in my meditation practice. But I do get them when I wake up in the morning or other times out of the blue. And I get them to the degree that I have a meditative practice. So if I'm not meditating at all, my out of the blue epiphanies are fewer than they are when I calm myself down and meditate. And as my sister says, it doesn't have to be a big hairy deal. She meditates on her deck. I can meditate while sitting in a chair watching the deer and the rabbits in the backyard. It's so much fun, the deers and the rabbits. So, know who we are, know what our values and beliefs are, and know who or what we're dealing with and how to deal with that. Oh, let's see. So, alignment, intent, and activation. That's part of activation. Is there anything after him?
Nope.
Oh, there is. They're supposed to be.
No, there's 12 slides, that's a 12th one.
Okay, so something happened to the last one.
Oh,
So, but activation, we love it. We can talk and talk and talk, and we can think and think, and we can visualize and visualize. But sooner or later, the rubber has to meet the road. Sooner or later, we have to get our little bums up off the chair and go make it so. Make it happen. So, this again is where the intention comes in, and the checking in on the intention. What is most important to me? What do I want to create in this time, in this moment, in my life? I've been having conversations with a couple of friends who we're all in retirement stage, and the question is, what do we want to do with this chapter of our lives? And we don't actually have I have an answer. I want to enjoy it as much as possible. I'm clear. But that's a big answer. So what does that look like on a daily basis or a specific basis? So we talk about that, we ask that, and then we live into it. So part of my enjoying it as much as possible is steeping myself in art. And that intention means that I can't steep myself in other situations, projects, etc. That's going to call away too much of my time. And I have to remind myself, what's most important to me, being on this board or going to the studio and painting on a regular basis, because this board's got issues. And if it's got issues, I'm going to be dragged into them. And as much as I may meditate, I'm still going to be dealing with issues. I don't want to deal with issues if I can avoid them. If I can help somewhere, fine. But this board, I haven't told her yet. I've just begun that conversation with the board president. Too many issues, I'm going to leave. Not going to help you solve them. So being intentional. And along with being intentional is being conscious. How many of you know Reverend Michael Beckwith? Any of you know of him? He told this lovely story once when we were back at East Bay about consciousness and being aware. And he said he went to this bagel shop and he was talking to the bagel maker, and the bagel maker was like, well, I personally supervise the making of these bagels. We've got an onion bagel that's amazing, and we've got a cheese and Asiago cheese and blah, blah, blah bagel that is new here and everybody just loves it, blah, 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 blah. He says, Bagel King. And Michael says, well, I'll have your onion bagel with cream cheese and what have you. And so the guy says, cool. So he's slicing the bagel and he's still talking, and he takes the bagel and he needs to reach for the cream cheese and whatever, so he puts the bagel under his arm and goes for the true story.
Oh my God.
No.
We're talking about serious lapse of consciousness. Poor Michael, he just sort of said, I changed my mind, I'll have Asiago.
No cream
Not,
Yeah.
you got my bagel in your pit. I love that. Yes, the disadvantage of going unconscious. So it behooves us to stay awake and aware
Amen.
and connected in the moment, every moment. And remember, I mentioned vibration, so if your moment is going wonky, don't go wonky with it. Come back to center. Ask yourself, what would be the best thing to do in this moment? Heaven only knows what it might be, depends on the moment. But heaven can talk to you if you pause, time out, and open the door for that. So the last slide said alignment, intention, activation. And this isn't Reverend Michael's fault. Apparently I didn't get it in there. How to take the steps to get us from great to even better. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, Reverend Michael.